First Alert Afternoon Weather Update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Happy New Year. First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips joining you here in 2026. We are at the First Alert desk and we are going to be talking about how cold it is going into this brand new year. So hopefully you've been able to stay warm. For folks who have the day off, very much fortunate because you're able to go and put on your favorite hoodie, maybe cuddle under a blanket and just enjoy a relaxing day inside while being a little bit more cozy. But if you do have some plans that take you outside, you may find that it's not you may find it is going to be cold while you are outside. So we are going to be first alerting you to the conditions as we get settled into 2026. We'll talk about what the rest of this long potential holiday weekend is going to be looking like for the forecast. We'll be talking also about some snow chances going into next week. So we are going to make sure that you're kind of on top of everything that's coming our way in the First Alert forecast. But we are going to start out with a little bit of our fresh snow scene that we picked up. So last evening, maybe the restaurant's not so busy, but maybe we were just ordering in because we did have a couple of slick spots on our roadways. We are finding that those were allowing for some of us to just stay inside. So we are going to be finding that we now have a ton of snow. Roadways here in downtown Saginaw have started to improve, not nearly as slippery, or even some of those snow-covered roads are really starting to clean up. Earlier today, I actually saw just a moment of some sun here on this camera. I wish I had more to share. You can see that there's a little bit of a break in some of the clouds, but overall it hasn't been really all that great for sunshine. I did put partly cloudy skies into the forecast, really trying to hope and kind of bring that in for us. But overall it looks like those winter clouds are dominating, which is very much the normal and the given when we are talking winter in Michigan, because we just have those cloudy skies. But overall snow accumulations keeping it manageable for us. The one thing though that we are having to work through is the colder air. So this is a look at our feels like temperatures. You're going to find that a lot of us thankfully have gotten out of those negatives. We were below zero this morning, so we are seeing that we at least have a wind chill at MBS Airport of 0. So we're at least hovering closer towards that. But it is still about 4 below in Houghton Lake, and then we're at about 7 above there in Mount Pleasant. We're right at a feels like temperature of 1 degree into Flint, same for Bad Axe. And then we are finding across the shoreline Tawas, Port Hope, Harbor Beach, we're still kind of below that 0 mark into the negative. So it is a cold afternoon. If you are going to try to maybe take down some of the holiday decorations that you have outside, I would just recommend, I know if you have the day off, it's a good time to do it, but the weather, it would be so uncomfortable, and it's hard when you have those gloves on and you're trying to get everything put away. So if you have the chance to just wait and kind of hold off for a little bit, I would recommend doing that. That's going to make it a little bit easier, and you'll probably have a little bit more of an enjoyable experience, because when we look at it the next couple of hours, it's not like wind chills are really going to take off. We're still going to be seeing those into the single digits, really only hovering around 5-6 degrees. So as we go into the afternoon, we really don't see a change as far as those temperatures. We're kind of hovering almost near our highs. We have that high today set at about 18, and then the wind chills are just going to remain to be a factor, because our winds are still going to try to pick up here. We're going to be seeing those peak around 20-25 miles per hour. So it's not nearly as strong as the winds that we had on our First Alert weather day on Monday, but it is still enough to add that extra kind of chill and bite to the cold winter air. So we will have those peak winds coming out of the west around 20-25 miles per hour this afternoon. And then the pattern kind of goes with just like last night, and then tonight is that the winds settle down to around 15 miles per hour, but then they do try to get going again going into Friday. It's not going to be nearly as breezy, but it's still just kind of noticeable that the air is moving. We're going to find those gusts around 20 miles per hour Friday afternoon. So the wind is still going to be a factor in the forecast, but it's also, with it being a little bit lighter, going to start to trim back on some of those snow chances, because when we look at today's forecast, I'm mainly just focused on the cold air coming in and the wind, because that breeze, even though it's not strong, it just adds that extra chill. I did put those partly cloudy skies in. I was really trying to get a little more, or at least a little more sun, bring in a few more breaks between those clouds. But we are going to find that kind of the cool, breezy conditions are setting us up, and also it's allowing for that lake effect, because as I had mentioned, we have all that cloud cover and just a couple of breaks within the clouds, and even then we're still not seeing a lot of movement. So we are just going to continue to kind of see this cooler forecast for today. Now, as we do look at the amount of cloud cover in the afternoon, it doesn't really improve. We're going to be finding that we're nearly 80, 90, 100% of our skies are going to have those clouds. So our best chance of seeing that sun was pretty early on today. Like I had mentioned, I had seen a moment of some sun on our cams, and even though I wasn't outside, I was still enjoying it because in the winter season, we just don't get enough of that sunshine. So make sure that you are taking care of yourselves. Maybe you need a little bit more vitamin D. So you can always talk to the medical experts to make sure you're kind of making it through kind of these cloudy winter days. As we look at our hour-by-hour forecast, well, actually first, let's talk about some of our snow chances going on. I do want to start with the hour-by-hour. A little indecisive in the forecast on what we want to talk about. There's still plenty of details, and we have a little extra time here at the First Alert Desk to kind of dive into everything. So it's so hard to kind of pick and choose what I want to talk about first, but we are going to continue on this afternoon, seeing those clouds build in. You may at times find that you get caught in a snow shower or a couple of flurries. I'm not putting a lot of accumulations out with the coverage on this. It just really depends on the strength of the wind. Sure, they pick up, and with that westerly wind, we'd still have to come all across West Michigan, past 127, and continue to come across the area. So we do have the chance for seeing a little bit of that frozen precipitation, but our coverage is not going to be all that great. So that's why we just decided to go with no chances of precipitation in the forecast. But if you do have a stray shower, don't be too surprised. As we go into Friday morning, I still want to back it up a little bit just to kind of pick up. You can kind of see there around Port Hope, we have that little band that sets up. So we are going to find with westerly winds that we are able to kind of there in the outer bay still get a little bit of that open water. So that would be kind of fetch. We have just a little bit of fetch. As that cold air comes over the water, we have some distance there to work with. And so we do anticipate seeing some bands that can just kind of clip the northern portions of Huron County. So if you're in Port Austin, Port Hope, just really kind of in that northeast corner of Huron County, we're going to be giving you a chance for some snowfall here just because of the lake effect and that wind direction. Now, if that wind direction just shifts a little bit west-northwesterly, if we see even just a few degrees difference, that can really change the orientation of that snow band and then what we experience. So we're going to be watching that starting here tonight, going into tomorrow morning. And then as we go through the day, if you still kind of keep an eye to that zone, we have that band by Friday, 9 o'clock that's building in here on the tip of the thumb. Otherwise, though, the rest of mid-Michigan is pretty quiet when we look at the lake effect, and it doesn't pick up or really change. Going into the afternoon, we'll still be monitoring there on the northeast portions of the thumb, but it just seems to be a couple of bands, and we all know with lake effect, we're no strangers to it, that we can have that set up to where we do have some reduced visibilities, but mainly some quick accumulations. So we will be talking about a snow map for the thumb going into that Thursday, kind of Friday time frame. But we do start to see as those winds settle down again going into Friday evening that the lake effect snow chance does start to kind of drop for us a little bit. Now, beyond that in the forecast, we do have just a chance for a couple of flurries on Saturday night. So if you have some plans Saturday, just kind of keep an eye, check back in here to the First Alert Desk when we have our live streams, and just kind of keep an eye. We kind of added that in. It's just kind of a hint. I don't see anything that's really going to be throwing off your plans if you are going to be out on the town on Saturday night. Kind of that better chance is sitting on Monday for us to be picking up on some snow. When we were kind of looking at the data last night, First Alert Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlick left me a note, just kind of a little more mixing. But then when I came in, I saw that there was a little bit more colder air working in to provide us a better chance of just seeing simply snow. So I do see the possibility of kind of having that mix coming in, but I do see a stronger chance for us to be cold enough to be seen and working with snow. It would just be for Monday morning, so we'd actually see it just as the clock strikes midnight from Sunday night going into Monday, and then kind of through the morning commute. So with a lot of us going back to work and school, make sure you are watching this forecast, because even a light snow can kind of make those roadways a little bit slippery. And when we're running behind after having a couple of weeks off for the holiday, we really don't want the weather or anything getting in our way. Now, we are going to go and be talking about some of those snow totals into the thumb. I want to pull up that snow map, so I'm going to take a real quick break, make sure that that's ready to go, and we are going to be back in a quick 60 seconds. And we are back. Happy New Year to a couple of you who are just now joining us. Maybe you kind of missed the top of our live stream, but we do appreciate everybody being here, giving us a little bit of time of your holiday so that we can talk about our forecast. Before we took the break, we were talking about some of those snow chances that we had into the northern portions of Huron County. So as we bring up that map, you are going to be seeing here that a lot of us are not going to have to worry about accumulating snow. Sure, we could still pick up a couple of snow showers and some flurries, but we are going to be finding that we just have some totals that just show up there on our marker in Port Hope. So we do have that 2.9 showing up, so it's still a manageable amount. We all know that lake effect, especially here in the thumb, can sometimes get carried away, but this one, about 3 inches, kind of seems to be a little bit close to our normal standard for an incident like this. So we are going to be finding that that's just kind of on the tip there. So again, kind of keeping an eye out for Port Austin, Port Hope, to where you can see, just depending on the orientation of that westerly wind, how that's going to shape up for us to be looking at snow accumulation. So we are going to be finding that potential for us going into today and tomorrow, and even during the night. So here through about the next 24 to 48 hours is where we would see those accumulations. Otherwise, into the Tri-Cities, you'll see that there's not a lot happening with just some trace amounts. And even around Genesee County, if we are able to pick up some of those snow showers this afternoon and evening, about a ½ inch to be expected. So still enough to where we could have a slick spot or two on the roadways, but still very much manageable. I know a lot of you are professional drivers. You already have kind of the rust knocked off. You know how to drive in the snow. So I don't think we're going to have too many road issues for people while you are headed out there. I was talking about the cold air, and now that I think about it, I didn't actually even explain how our air temperatures are just kind of hovering into the upper teens. So this is kind of where we're going to be at here for the rest of the day, with us not having a lot of sun and westerly winds not providing us any more mild temps. We're kind of at our highs for the day. So you can see that we are at 15 in Flint, 16 in Saginaw, 17 in Gladwin and Clear. We're at 20 degrees in Mount Pleasant. We have 18 in Midland. Same for Caseville, 16 from Harbor Beach through Port Hope, and then up towards Oscoda, we're at 13 in Houghton Lake. So it's not warm by any means, just talking air temperatures. So that's why those feels like temperatures are also a little bit cooler. So those highs are going to continue to still be a little bit on the cooler and chilly side here as we go through the next couple of days. As we bring up those high temperatures, you're going to see that the normal is around 31 degrees, and we're going to yet be talking 20s here through the weekend. So it isn't until on Monday when we have kind of that weather pattern switch, when we see some precipitation chances, but also just getting close towards the freezing mark, at least where we kind of should be here for the beginning of January. So we are going to have a cold forecast. I want you to kind of keep an eye to that. Another thing that I found that was interesting to share when I was updating our Michigan ski report this morning, you can definitely tell that the lake effect has been alive and well, because Boyne Mountain actually reported on New Year's Eve 17 inches of fresh snow. So you will definitely notice that a lot of that is thanks to the lake effect. Of course, a lot of the resorts here do have those snow guns and machines that are working, and we've had temperatures to do that. But seeing that 17 popping up there, I anticipate that Lake Michigan was treating them well. Even Crystal Mountain also reported about 4 inches, and then Pine Knob also had a new report of 4 inches come in. So a lot of the ski resorts, now that it has gotten cold again, are able to make the snow. We're also finding that Mother Nature is kind of helping some of those northern resorts, but even locally, Mount Holly, they've been cranking out some snow. So we have a good base for a lot of our resorts. A lot of the lifts are open, a lot of the trails are opening. So with it being a holiday weekend, maybe have a little bit of extra time. I anticipate we're going to continue to see more snow to be made, at least by the snow machines. So that means that if you want to go and get a little bit of time out on the slopes, snowboarding, skiing, that is all going to be a great plan here for the weekend. Though we don't have a lot of fresh powder coming in, we are at least going to find that we have cold weather, so that's going to allow us to make some snow. So we are going to be finding that some of that Michigan winter fun that we like to have is going to be a possibility. Also, when we take a check of our pinpoint Doppler, no snow coming in this afternoon like we had yesterday afternoon when we were here. We are going to be finding that we do have the quiet weather, with our winds just continuing to back down a little bit. Yes, it's still breezy. It's still causing that wind chill, but we are finding that that lake effect isn't able to be as strong. So that's why we really haven't seen too much snow activity in today's forecast. Now, as we kind of get close to wrapping it up here, maybe you're not a fan of the cold weather, and that's okay if you're not. I know we got to have a little bit of both, because we have businesses that rely on snow removal, but yet we also got to cut grass in the summer. So there's a lot of elements to where we need 4 seasons here. But As we kind of look ahead to the next couple of seasons, mainly spring, we are about 44 days away from Valentine's Day. So now that the calendar has turned over, it's kind of fun to see how many days away. Not to rush it, because I know it just seems like 2025 was a blur and just moved on by. But here we are, it's 2026, whether we're ready or not. And so we are going to find that we're about 44 days away again from Valentine's Day. We have 75 days away from St. Patrick's Day. And then it's just 4 days afterwards. That is going to be the spring equinox, so the beginning of spring. So just a short 80 days from now, and then Easter. So that's going to be on April 5th this year. I know sometimes Easter falls in March. Sometimes we see that falling in April. So it is going to be around April 5th. So keep that in mind. If you're already thinking about spring break and making some travel plans, or just kind of wanting to know, okay, we go from winter break to spring break, and you got to time it out to make sure that you're ready to go. So I anticipate that a lot of our school districts by the first week of April around there are going to be taking a little bit of time off to hopefully enjoy some nice weather. But we are 94 days away from Easter, so we are still finding that we have quite a bit of time, but we all kind of know sometimes the time goes a little bit faster than what it actually feels like. But it's always kind of fun to see how the conditions are going to be shaking out for us. When we do look at the 7-day forecast, we are going to be talking about the dry weather here, but also cold conditions through the weekend. I just put in those few evening flurries for your Saturday, nothing that should be too problematic for you if you're going to be out partying. You will find on Sunday, though, that it's going to be quiet for much of the day. It's into the night, mainly after midnight, that we do start to see those snow showers come in. As far as that mix is concerned, I'm leaning a little bit more towards frozen precipitation, so we have better chances of seeing some snow coming in. I'd also like to see a little bit more consistency on the location of the low pressure system coming in. So that's why I'm not providing a ton of information, because there's not a lot of confidence with how that system's going to shake out going into Monday. The one thing that's looking a little more consistent is the timing of it, with it rolling in after midnight Sunday going into Monday, and then starting to only see that Monday morning to where it's gone then by the afternoon. So that's why we just have that AM mix and snow. I wouldn't be surprised if we are able to drop that mix here pretty soon and just simply go to snow showers. But just because we are hovering right around 32 degrees, that means that we could have some mixed precipitation coming through. So I don't want to kind of jump on just that snowy thing and really kind of boomerang the forecast back and forth. So just kind of seeing with the data that we have and seeing what those trends are holding and what seems to be more probable. Behind it, though, Tuesday and Wednesday looking dry. We still have the cloud cover. It's Michigan winter after all, but temperatures do warm up. We're going to be seeing highs around 37 degrees for both Tuesday and Wednesday. So that might be a time, if you have a little bit of time, or maybe you got to use some PTO already into the new year, you might want to go and use that time to get some of those holiday decorations put away. So that would be a little bit more comfortable than today. 37 seems to be easier to be outside in compared to 18 degrees. But also, even the next couple of nights are going to be into the teens. Still going to continue to see that cooler, kind of chilly weather. But overall, our forecast pretty much manageable. No first alert weather days on the horizon here. So we are just going to continue to kind of watch our forecast as we go through this first week of January as we get more settled into the year. But I do appreciate you giving me a little bit of time. I know that there are football games on, but just a quick programming note that there is no TV5 News at 4 p.m. today. So you can catch back up on our over-the-air channel starting at 5 o'clock. So make sure that you're joining the team. They're going to have the latest headlines. I know we're working on quite a few stories. And also, Chris will have your latest forecast starting at 5 o'clock. He'll also be here tonight at the First Alert Desk starting at 9 p.m. So make sure you don't miss out on that live stream, because he'll have any and all updates that he's been watching kind of in the afternoon batch of the weather data coming through. So don't miss out on that important information. Again, I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time on your New Year's day. So hopefully you're able to have a little bit of time, stay warm out there, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.